My daughter-in-law looked me dead in the eye and said, "You're not invited for Christmas." I smiled, walked out, and the first thing I did was cancel their mortgage payment. 2 days later, 24 missed calls. That same woman who once called me messy and extra was blowing up my phone, begging me to save her dream home. But by then, I had a different plan. So, before I tell you the whole story, make sure to like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, where are you listening from? I balanced the tin of cookies on my knees and rang the bell. My heart thudded in my chest like it used to when Daniel was little and I surprised him at school. Except this time, I wasn't surprising anyone. I'd called yesterday, told him I'd stop by, and he said, "Sure, Mom, come by any time." The door opened, and there he was, my boy, taller, broader, wearing the same shy smile he had at 10. "Mom?" He hugged me quickly, like someone in a rush. No warmth, no linger. "I brought cookies." I forced a smile. "Cinnamon, your favorite." "Great, thanks." He stepped aside. "Come in." I walked in and stopped cold. The house glittered like a magazine spread. White lights, glass ornaments, velvet stockings with their names embroidered in gold. Daniel, Emily. I searched for my name. Nothing. My eyes climbed to the photo wall. My throat tightened. Not a single picture of me. Not one. Every frame had Emily's family instead, matching outfits, ski resorts, winery trips. I remembered when those frames held Daniel's first day of school, the 3 of us at the lake. My husband's smile before cancer took him. All erased like I never existed. I gripped the tin harder, like holding on to the last piece of me in this house. "Mom," Daniel's voice jolted me. "Want some coffee?" "Sure," I said softly, sinking onto the couch I paid for. My hands trembled on my lap. Emily floated in, all gloss and perfume, holding her phone like an accessory. Her eyes flicked over me, down to my cardigan, then back up with a smile so tight it could snap. "Elena," she sang. "Hi." "Hi, sweetheart." My voice sounded too bright, too eager. "I brought cookies for Christmas." "Oh, thank you." She didn't take them, just stood there, perfectly still, like a queen waiting for someone to bow. I tried again. "So, what time should I come on Christmas Day? I thought I'd make tamales. Daniel always loved—" Her sigh sliced through the air. "Actually, about Christmas." The room tilted. "What about it?" She perched on the armrest like the throne was hers. "We're doing something small this year. Just us and my parents." The words hung there like smoke. I blinked. "Just you and your parents?" "Yes." She crossed her legs. "It's just easier without extra people." Extra people. I felt the blood drain from my face. "I'm not extra." My voice cracked. "I'm his mother." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Of course. It's not personal. They just have certain expectations. They're very traditional. They like things elegant, refined." Refined. Like I wasn't. I looked at Daniel. "You're okay with this?" He shifted like a boy caught stealing. "Mom, it's just one Christmas." One Christmas. My ears roared. Did he think I hadn't counted everyone since his father died? Did he think I hadn't held my breath every year, hoping to keep the family together? Emily's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and smirked. "Excuse me," she said, sliding her finger across the screen. Her voice went sugary sweet. "Hi. Yeah, she's here." Pause, then a laugh. "No, don't worry. Everything's fine now. She understands." My stomach nodded. Daniel rubbed his neck. "Mom, understands what?" My voice was ice. Emily lowered the phone but didn't hang up. "That this year's private. We need peace. No distractions." Distractions. I repeated slowly, each syllable tasting like ash. Emily tilted her head, looking me up and down like I was a mess she had to clean. "You know how it is. We want an atmosphere, something cultured. My parents, they're used to certain conversations. And I'm not good enough for those? My voice shook. Her smile sharpened. You said it, not me. The phone in her hand dinged. The screen lit up. I didn't mean to look, but my eyes fell on the message. Crisis averted. She bought it. With laughing emoji. Heat slammed into my chest so hard I couldn't breathe. Emily! My voice was a whisper now, trembling but sharp. What exactly do you think I bought? She slid the phone into her pocket like nothing happened. Let's not make this ugly. Ugly. As if I was the problem. I looked at Daniel again. My boy. My only boy. The one I worked double shifts for. The one I mortgaged my future for. Say something, I begged. His eyes darted away. Mom, please, don't make this harder. The cookies in my lap felt like bricks. Heavy, useless, just like me in this house. I stood slowly, every joint stiff with humiliation. I see, I said. My voice didn't sound like mine anymore. Emily's lips curled. Drive safe, Elena. Safe. Away from here, away from them. I walked to the door, my heart pounding so loud I thought it would crack my ribs. My fingers curled around the handle when I heard her voice again, soft but sharp enough to cut through bone. Finally. Peace. The world went silent. I stepped outside into the cold. My phone buzzed in my pocket, Emily's name flashing like a warning. I didn't answer. I gripped the wheel until my knuckles whitened and stared at the house I'd built for them, the house I'd never walk into again. My chest burned with something I hadn't felt in years. Not anger, not grief, something else, something that whispered, "This isn't over." The city lights blurred through my windshield as I drove. Christmas everywhere, windows glowing warm, families laughing over dinners I could only imagine. I gripped the steering wheel tighter and told myself to breathe. One Christmas, she said, just one. Like it was nothing. But I knew better. The first time you're not welcome, it doesn't stop. It becomes the rule. My heart kept pounding as the memories started rushing in, sharp and cruel. The loan papers, I saw them clear as day, my signature shaky at the bottom. Daniel's hand on mine back then saying, "Mom, I'll pay you back the second I can." I believed him. Of course I did. He's my son. I pictured my old kitchen, the calendar where I'd written Cancun, and then scratched it out when Emily called crying about the down payment they couldn't afford. "We just need a little help to get started, Elena," she'd said, her voice sugary sweet. "We'll make it up to you. Promise." I skipped vacations, skipped fixing my roof, sold my jewelry, all so they could have this perfect house. And now I'm extra. My phone buzzed on the seat. I didn't want to look, but something told me to. It was Instagram. Emily's post glowing like poison. Christmas is about class, not chaos. 3 laughing emojis, and right underneath, Daniel's like. My chest clenched so hard I thought I'd choke. Class, chaos, was that what I was now? Chaos? I almost pulled over just to scream. Instead, I drove faster, blinking back tears that burned like acid. By the time I pulled into my driveway, my hands hurt from gripping the wheel. I sat there for a second, staring at the cracked paint on my little house. The house I almost lost because I chose theirs first. I dragged myself inside. The cold hit me like a slap. The heater was out again. I'd called a guy last month, but when he gave me the price, I told him I'd wait. Too expensive right now. I set my purse down and pulled out the groceries I bought with coupons and change from my coat pocket. Eggs, bread, a pack of soup I didn't even like. I laid everything on the counter, my fingers stiff from the cold, and then I saw it. The box. Big. Shiny. Sitting on the floor like it owned the room. I froze. My stomach twisted. The espresso machine. I bought it 2 weeks ago. Scraped every spare dollar because Emily made a fuss about how much she loved good coffee when we were at the store together. I thought, this will make her smile. This will make her see me. I walked over slowly and stared at it, still wrapped, the bow sliding off where I'd tied it. My chest felt hollow. I thought giving was love. I thought sacrifice meant family. But tonight, it hit me like a punch. I was wrong. I reached for my phone with shaking hands. Her post was still on the screen. Class, not chaos. Something cracked inside me then. Something old and heavy, and I whispered to the empty kitchen, never again. The phone rang just as I sat down with a mug of tea that had already gone cold. Emily's name flashed across the screen. For a second, I thought about ignoring it. Let it ring. Let her stew. But something in me needed to hear what she had to say. Maybe an apology, maybe some decency. I pressed accept. Hello? My voice came out thin, like I'd been running when I hadn't moved an inch. Elena! Her voice was bright, cheerful, like nothing happened yesterday. Do you have a minute? A minute? She'd already stolen hours from me. Years. My life. But I said, sure. There was a pause. Fake hesitation. The kind people use before they slip in the knife. I just wanted to clear the air after earlier, she said sweetly. I didn't want you to think it's personal. I stared at the peeling paint on my kitchen wall and said nothing. It's just... She lowered her voice like she was confiding in me. My parents are used to a certain kind of holiday. Something sophisticated. Elegant. Elegant, I repeated slowly. Yes, you know how it is. They like atmosphere. Crystal, candles, conversations about travel, books, not loud traditions. My chest burned. You mean our traditions, I said, my voice like glass. Don't take it that way, she rushed. It's just, they're not used to things like... Her pause was sharp. Tamales. I gripped the edge of the table. Tamales, I said, letting the word hang. They're heavy, she added quickly. Messy. We want clean lines, elegant plates, a curated experience. A curated experience. That's what my son's Christmas had become. A magazine spread where I didn't fit, I didn't speak. If I opened my mouth, I'd scream. Elena? She waited a beat. Then the smile slid back into her voice. Listen, maybe you can still stop by. For dessert. If things go smoothly. My fingers dug into the wood of the chair. If things go smoothly? Yes. Just, no drama. Keep it light. We can set out a little plate for you. Like I was a stray dog they'd throw scraps to. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Right. Dessert. Perfect! Her tone was all sunshine now. See? We can make this work. My parents will be thrilled if everything feels elevated. I wanted to laugh or cry, or both. Instead, I said quietly, I understand. And I hung up before she could say another word. My hand shook so hard the phone almost slipped. I dropped it on the counter and gripped the chair until my knuckles turned white. For a second, I thought I'd be sick. Then the tears came. Hot, bitter, spilling before I could stop them. I sat in the dark kitchen, staring at nothing, my chest hollow. My husband used to sit across from me at this very table, holding my hand when life got hard. He'd understand, Emily had said. He'd understand, I whispered to the empty room, my voice breaking. She used him. My throat tightened until I couldn't breathe. I reached for the phone again, not to call her back, but to see. To know. I opened Instagram. The first story hit like a fist to my gut. Emily's hands, perfect manicure, diamond ring flashing, wrapping a bow around the espresso machine I bought. Caption, from us to my amazing parents. My vision blurred. I blinked hard, but the words didn't go away. From us. Not a word about me. Not even a thank you. My gift, my money, my love, erased like I was nothing. I sat there shaking, the cold from the kitchen crawling up my spine. My tea was stone cold now, but I couldn't move. I couldn't think past the roaring in my ears. This wasn't just about a dinner, or a post, or a coffee machine. This was years, years of me bending, giving, breaking myself to make their life easy, mortgaging my future for their dreams. And for what? So I could beg for a seat at a table I paid for? Something inside me shifted then. Something quiet. Something dangerous. I wiped my face with the back of my hand and stood. My legs felt steady for the first time all day. I walked to the corner of the room where the old filing cabinet sat. Rusted handle, paint chipping. Inside, the papers that chained me to their happiness. I gripped the handle and pulled. The drawer groaned open. Stacks of envelopes stared back, mortgage statements, receipts, all the proof of what I'd given and what they'd taken. I ran my fingers over the top one, feeling the weight of every dollar I'd spent. The papers felt heavier than I remembered. I spread them across the kitchen table like crime scene photos. 5 years of statements. 5 years of bleeding for a house that wasn't mine. Every page screamed at me. $3,000. $3,000. Month after month. My eyes stung, but I didn't cry this time. I was past that. My tears had dried the moment I saw that espresso machine on Emily's Instagram, wrapped for someone else. I picked up the first page, December 5 years ago. I remembered the day clearly. Emily on the phone, voice soft and sweet. Elena, we're so close. Just a little short. If we don't close this week, we'll lose the house. I'd sold my gold bracelet that week, the one Daniel gave me on my 50th birthday. I'd told myself, it's just a thing. Family is worth more than things. Now I looked at the statement and felt sick. $3,000 a month. For what? For her to tell me I'm extra? For him to sit there like a stranger while she cut me out of my own bloodline? I pushed the papers into a pile, grabbed my phone, and scrolled to the bank's number. My hands didn't shake this time. It rang twice. Thank you for calling Cascade Credit Union. How can I help you today? My name is Elena Ramirez, I said, my voice steady. Account ending in 4172. I need to cancel an automatic payment. The rep paused. Certainly. Can you verify which payment? The mortgage transfer, I said, effective immediately. Another pause. Ma'am, just to confirm, this is the joint account set for the monthly house payment of $3,000? Yes. My grip on the phone tightened. Cancel it. I understand. But may I ask, are you sure? This will... I said, cancel it. My voice came out sharp like a snap of glass. Silence. Then, understood, ma'am. The payment has been canceled effective today. I exhaled slowly, like letting go of a weight I'd carried for years. Would you like a confirmation number? No, I said. I'll remember. When I hung up, the quiet in the house felt different. Not empty, not cold, powerful. For the first time in years, I felt like I had air in my lungs. I grabbed the stack of statements and carried them to the living room. The fireplace sat dark, like it had been waiting for this moment. I opened the screen, struck a match, and watched the first paper curl in the flame. The ink bled, turned black, then vanished. 1 page down, dozens more to go. I fed them one by one. January, February, March. Each month a wound I was finally stitching shut. The fire crackled louder with every sheet like applause. When the last page turned to ash, I poured myself a glass of wine. The good one I'd been saving for Christmas. I sank into the armchair, glass in hand, fire glowing like revenge itself. My chest felt warm, not from the wine, not from the fire, but from the quiet truth inside me. They'd built their life on my back, and now I'd taken it away. The house would crumble without me, and when it did, they'd remember who kept it standing all these years. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. I glanced down. Emily, voicemail. Curiosity tugged harder than pride, so I pressed play. Her voice exploded through the speaker. Elena, call me back now. No sweetness this time. No fake smiles. Just panic. The fire popped behind me as her voice echoed in the room, sharp and frantic. I swirled the wine in my glass and whispered to no one but the flames. Perfect. The voicemail from last night kept playing in my head, Emily's sharp voice cutting through the calm like a blade. "Elena, call me back now." I didn't. I spent the night in silence, sipping wine by the fire, while their perfect little world started to wobble. I could almost hear the cracks forming. By morning, my phone had 20 missed calls, 10 from Emily, 5 from Daniel. The rest, unknown numbers. I didn't answer a single one. It was almost noon when my phone buzzed again. Her name lit up the screen like a warning flare. I took a slow breath and picked up. "Elena." Her tone was brisk, clipped. No fake sweetness now, just command. "Finally. Listen, I need a favor." I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ash in the fireplace. "A favor," I repeated. "Yes." She sounded irritated, like I should have known. "My parents' flight got in early. Can you pick them up? They're at the airport waiting." I smiled, even though she couldn't see it. "Why me?" "Because Daniel's stuck at work and I'm in the middle of prepping for dinner. I can't leave right now." Her sigh rattled through the phone. "Please, just do this. It's not a big deal." Not a big deal. Everything with her was an order disguised as a request. I kept my voice calm. "What time?" "They've been waiting 30 minutes already," she snapped. "Please hurry. And Elena—" "Yes? Wear something decent," she added coldly. "They notice things like that." The silence on my end stretched. She cleared her throat. "You know, neat. Put yourself together. It matters to them." I stared at the peeling paint on my kitchen cabinets and whispered, "Of course." "Thank you." Her voice softened like butter. "You're a lifesaver." I hung up without another word. For a moment, I just sat there, listening to the hum of the fridge. Then I stood, walked to the stove, and pulled out a pan. I made grilled cheese. Thick slices, buttered golden, cheese melting slow and soft. Poured myself a glass of sweet tea and sat by the window while the December wind rattled the trees. The first bite tasted like freedom. My phone started buzzing before I'd even finished chewing. Emily, then Daniel, then Emily again. I didn't pick up. I scrolled through Instagram instead, and there it was, her post, a photo of 2 designer suitcases sitting in baggage claim. Caption: "Some people can't handle basic responsibilities." I laughed out loud, a short, sharp sound that didn't feel like me. Another call came through. This time I hit speaker and set the phone on the table. Her voice exploded the second it clicked. "Elena, where are you? They've been waiting almost 2 hours." I chewed slowly, savoring every second. "I'm home," I said finally. "You're what?" "Home. Eating lunch." "You're joking." "No." I took another bite, loud enough for her to hear the crunch. "You told me to wear something decent. I figured I'd sit this one out." Her gasp was sharp. "Are you out of your mind? They're standing there with their luggage like idiots. Do you have any idea how this looks?" "Yes," I said softly. "Perfect." "Excuse me?" Her voice cracked like ice. "I think it looks perfect," I repeated, calm as still water. For a beat, all I heard was her breath, fast, shallow. Then she hissed, "You will regret this." The line went dead. I wiped my fingers on a napkin, leaned back, and let the quiet sink in. My heart wasn't racing. My hands weren't shaking. I felt steady, strong. It hit me then. This was the first time in years I'd said no, and it felt like power. I poured another glass of tea and let the phone keep buzzing. It was an hour later when the pounding started. 3 hard knocks, then 5 more, rattling the door so hard the frame shook. I set down my glass and walked slowly to the entryway, my bare feet silent on the worn floor. Through the peephole, I saw them, Emily in her tailored coat, lips tight with rage. Beside her, her parents, both red-faced, dragging designer luggage up my porch steps. Emily slammed her fist against the door again. "Elena!" Her voice was sharp enough to cut through the wood. "Open this door, now!" I rested my hand on the knob, smiling as my heartbeat stayed calm. I thought I'd seen the worst of her entitlement, but I was wrong. The pounding didn't stop. It grew louder, like fists slamming in rhythm with Emily's voice on the other side. "Elena, open this door right now!" I stood there, hand on the knob, listening to her shrill command echo through the wood. I could almost see her face, red, jaw tight, eyes blazing with that fake superiority she wore like perfume. Another set of bangs rattled the glass. "You're humiliating us! Do you even care what you've done?" Humiliating them. Not a word about how they'd gutted me days ago, not a whisper of apology. I unlocked the door and swung it open. Emily shoved her way in first, her coat snapping behind her like a cape. Her parents followed, dragging those designer suitcases across my old wooden floor, faces twisted with rage. "You embarrassed us!" Emily's voice cracked the air like a whip. "Do you have any idea what we looked like out there, standing like idiots while everyone else got picked up?" I folded my arms, calm as still water. "You managed to find your way here just fine." Her cheeks flushed. "That's not the point!" She jabbed a finger at me like I was a child. "My parents? Do you know who they are?" "Yes," I said flatly. "People with legs. They walked." Her father stepped forward then, Cody. Tall, gray hair, expensive coat that probably cost more than my car. His voice was deep, booming like he expected the room to bow. "You listen to me," he thundered. "We don't tolerate disrespect. You think you can humiliate my family? I'll make sure everyone in this town knows what you really are." I raised an eyebrow. "And what am I?" He sneered. "Ungrateful, bitter, pathetic. You're lucky we ever let you near us." Emily smirked beside him, arms crossed like a queen watching her soldier fight. "You will regret this," Cody barked. "I'll ruin your name so fast you won't show your face at a grocery store without whispers following you." My pulse slowed instead of racing. For the first time in years, I wasn't scared. Not of him, not of her, not of anyone. I stepped closer until we were eye to eye. "Get out of my house," Emily scoffed. "Excuse me?" "You heard me." My voice didn't rise, but it cut like glass. "Out. Now." She laughed, a short, sharp sound. "Oh, Elena, you've lost it. You think this little stunt makes you powerful? You think, get out." I didn't blink. For a moment, the silence was louder than her shouting had been. Even Cody froze, like he couldn't believe someone had told him no. Then Emily's mask slipped. Her smile vanished, and her voice dropped low, venom dripping from every word. "You don't know who you're messing with." "Neither do you," I said softly. The fire popped behind me like applause as I stepped aside and pointed to the door. "Leave before I call the police." Her mother, silent until now, grabbed her husband's arm and hissed, "Cody, let's go." Emily lingered a second longer, eyes narrowed, like she wanted to burn holes through my skin. Then she spun on her heel and stormed out, the sharp click of her heels like nails on glass. The door slammed so hard, a picture frame rattled and fell. I stood in the quiet, the sound of my own breathing filling the room. My hands weren't shaking. My heart wasn't pounding. I walked back to the kitchen, picked up the sponge, and wiped the crumbs from my counter, grilled cheese crumbs from the lunch I enjoyed while they waited in baggage claim like stranded royalty. As the rag slid across the wood, a thought bloomed in my mind, dark and certain. This isn't over. The next morning, I woke to my phone buzzing nonstop. Notifications stacked on the screen like bullets. And then I saw it, my face, on the front page of the local paper. "Woman abandons elderly couple during holiday storm." Storm? It hadn't even snowed. My throat closed as I stared at the headline. The photo beneath it was worse. Me, standing by my car, snapped from God knows where, looking tired and cold. I read the first line out loud, voice cracking. "Local woman leaves prominent community members stranded for hours." I gripped the paper so hard it tore. And for one terrible second, I thought this was the worst of it. But then the comments started popping up. And that's when I realized they weren't done yet. The paper lay on my kitchen table, its headline burning through me like acid. Woman abandons elderly couple during holiday storm. Storm. There wasn't a damn snowflake yesterday. Just wind and lies. I read the first line again, my throat tightening. Local woman 62 left prominent community members stranded in freezing conditions, raising concerns about mental health and elder neglect. Mental health, elder neglect. They were painting me as crazy, dangerous. My phone buzzed. A notification from Facebook. Emily Harper tagged you in a post. I opened it, and the bile rose in my throat. Her post had a photo of her parents huddled in the airport, clutching their designer coats like refugees. The caption? Family means showing up when it counts. Some people forgot that. Hundreds of comments underneath. Shameful. Who does that to family? And the worst, she's always been unstable. Then I saw it. My son's name. Daniel. He liked the post. My vision blurred. My hands shook so hard the phone almost slipped. I sat there staring at that blue thumbs up like it was a knife in my chest. I dialed him before I could stop myself. It rang twice. He picked up, voice tight. Mom! Daniel, I whispered. You saw that post? He exhaled hard. Yeah. And you liked it? My voice cracked. Mom, listen. No, you listen. My throat burned. You think I'm unstable? After everything I've done for you? It's not about that. $3,000 a month. I cut in. For 5 years. I paid for that house, Daniel. I gave up everything for you. And you sit there and let them drag me through the mud? He was silent for a beat. Then, Mom, you're overreacting. It's just social media. Overreacting, I repeated, tasting blood in the word. I'm asking you to stop making this worse, he said, his voice rising. Emily's furious. Her parents are humiliated. Just apologize. The laugh that ripped out of me didn't sound human. Apologize? Yes, he shouted, before this gets out of hand. It's already out of hand. My voice was ice now. And Daniel, you just made sure of it. I hung up before he could speak again. My hands were steady now, my heart calm, because something broke inside me, and something else was born in its place. No more begging for respect, no more playing nice. This was war. I poured coffee into my favorite mug, the one with a crack down the side that I'd glued together years ago. Like me, broken, patched up, still standing. I sat at the table, opened my laptop, and pulled out the old manila folder from the filing cabinet. Inside, everything. Mortgage statements, bank transfers, checks I wrote when Daniel and Emily couldn't make ends meet. I started scanning them one by one, saving each file with dates and amounts. $3,000, $3,000, $3,000, 60 times over. Next, I opened Facebook and Instagram, screenshots of Emily's captions. Class, not chaos. Some people can't handle basic responsibilities. Then I checked something I hadn't dared before, her DMs. She'd left her login on my tablet once when I babysat the dog. I clicked it now. And there it was, in her private messages to a friend. ATM Mommy strikes again. She actually thinks we like her. ATM Mommy. My stomach knotted, but my fingers moved faster. Screenshot, save, screenshot, save. Another message. She's pathetic, always trying to buy our love. Sad, really. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. Pathetic. Maybe I was, once, but not anymore. I created a new folder on my desktop. Justice. Dragged every file inside. Mortgage statements, checks, receipts, screenshots of posts, comments, DMs, enough to shatter their perfect little image into dust. When the last file was saved, I reached for the calendar hanging on my fridge. December, the 24th stared back at me, empty. Not anymore. I grabbed a red marker and drew a hard circle around it, the ink pressing so deep it almost tore the paper. Above it, in bold letters, I wrote one word: dinner. I stepped back and stared at it, the red bleeding like fire across the page. They thought they humiliated me. But Christmas Eve? That's when the real feast would begin. I stared at myself in the mirror, smoothing the sleek black dress over my hips. It wasn't new. Nothing in my closet was. But it looked sharp, strong. The kind of dress a woman wears when she's done being invisible. I clipped on my pearl earrings, the last gift my husband gave me before cancer stole him away. I whispered to his memory, "Watch this." The leather folder sat on the counter. Inside, 5 years of receipts, bank statements, mortgage papers, and screenshots that would burn their perfect little kingdom to the ground. I slipped on my blazer, picked up the folder, and walked out into the cold night without looking back. Their house glowed like a palace when I pulled up. White lights draped across the eaves, music floating through the windows. Cars lined the driveway. I parked at the curb and stepped out, heels crunching on the frost as I climbed the steps. My heart didn't pound. My hands didn't shake. For the first time in months, I felt calm. I rang the bell. The door swung open, and there she was. Emily. Perfect hair, perfect dress, perfect fake smile that faltered the second she saw me. "Elena." Her voice dropped to a hiss. "What are you doing here?" I smiled, slow and sharp. "It's Christmas, Emily. You invited me for dessert, remember?" Her jaw tightened. "This is not a good time." "Then it's the perfect time," I said, and walked past her before she could stop me. Gasps rippled through the room as I stepped inside. The dining table stretched long and gleaming, set with crystal glasses and gold chargers. Guests in cocktail dresses and tailored suits turned to stare. Daniel stood near the bar, drink in hand. His face went pale. "Mom?" "Hi, sweetheart," I said, sweet as sugar. "You look surprised." Emily caught up to me, her voice low and sharp. "You need to leave. Now." I turned to her, smiling for the audience. "Why would I leave? Family's everything, right? That's what you posted." A few guests chuckled nervously. Emily's smile flickered back on like a broken light. "Of course, we just weren't expecting you." "Then this will be a surprise." I walked to the table and set my folder down in the center, the thud echoing through the room. "What's that?" someone murmured. I opened the folder, slowly, deliberately, like a lawyer about to make her closing argument. "Evidence," I said softly. 5 years of love, in dollars and cents. I laid out the first stack, bank statements. The numbers glared under the chandelier light. $200,000, I said, my voice carrying clear across the room. "That's how much I paid for this house, for their life. Every month, $3,000 from my account to theirs, so they could have this." I gestured at the glittering table. This elegant, curated experience. A ripple of whispers broke out. Someone at the far end muttered, "Holy hell." Emily's face blanched. "Elena, stop this." "Oh, I'm just getting started." I pulled out the screenshots next, spreading them like cards in a game I was about to win. "Here's Emily, telling her friend I'm ATM mommy." Gasps, a sharp laugh from somewhere down the table. Emily lunged for the papers. "You're insane!" I stepped back, holding up my phone. "And here," I said calmly, "is my favorite part." I hit play. Her voice filled the room, dripping with disdain. "She's our doormat. Always will be." The silence that followed was thick enough to choke on. Then a voice from the left cut through it like a blade. "Emily," a woman said, her tone ice cold, "you still owe me $5,000. Heads turned. More voices joined in. "Wait, me too. She borrowed from us last summer." The room erupted like a dam breaking. Accusations flying. Whispers turning to shouts. Emily's face crumpled. her mask slipping clean off. This is a setup, I smiled. No, sweetheart, this is the truth. Daniel finally spoke, his voice hoarse. Mom, why are you doing this? I turned to him, meeting his eyes. Because I taught you better than this, and you let her turn you into someone I don't recognize. His lips parted, but no words came out. I gathered the last paper, slid it back into the folder, and straightened my blazer. My voice was calm, almost gentle when I said, Enjoy the meal. It's the last one I'll ever pay for. And then I walked out, heels clicking like a countdown to the life they'd just watched burn. 3 months. That's all it took for their perfect little empire to crack and crumble. I sat on my newly repaired porch, fresh paint on the railings, a solid roof over my head, sipping my coffee from the chipped mug I'd glued back together years ago. Only now, the crack didn't bother me. It reminded me of something strong enough to break and still hold. The morning air was crisp, quiet, except for the hum of my phone as notification after notification popped up. Emily Harper, trending again. I tapped the screen, and there it was. Please help us save our dream home. Anything helps. God bless. Attached was a photo of her and Daniel on the front steps of that house I paid for, holding a sign like they were charity cases instead of leeches. And the comments. Oh, the comments were brutal. Isn't this the same couple who humiliated his mother on Christmas? Sell one of your designer bags, sweetheart. Karma's fast these days. I scrolled further, biting back a laugh that bubbled up anyway. Save our dream home. $50 raised, a $50,000 goal. $50. And one of the donors was her yoga instructor with a note that read, Namaste, girl, but maybe try humility next time. I took another slow sip of coffee, letting the warmth settle in my chest like victory. Cody wasn't doing any better. My neighbor had shown me the newsletter from his exclusive networking club last week. His name? Gone. Quiet whispers about financial instability and unpleasant rumors had taken care of that. Emily, once the queen of curated elegance, was now the star of memes. Screenshots of her GoFundMe plastered with captions like, From class to chaos. ATM, Mommy closed her account. I should have felt guilty, but all I felt was peace. They built their kingdom on my back. I just stopped carrying it. The wind picked up, tugging at the edge of the newspaper on my porch table. I glanced down. Foreclosure filings hit record high, the headline read, and there it was in the local section. Former socialite Emily Harper and husband Daniel Ramirez face foreclosure on their upscale home following reported financial strain. I stared at Daniel's name, my chest tightening just a little. My boy. My only boy. I remembered his voice that night on the phone, sharp and cold. Just apologize before this gets out of hand. I almost did. Almost swallowed my pride one more time, but I didn't. And now, this. Was this justice? Or was it revenge? I didn't know anymore. All I knew was I wasn't their doormat anymore. A sudden knock at the door jolted me out of my thoughts. 3 slow raps. Heavy, hesitant. I set down my coffee, my heartbeat picking up as I stood. My steps were quiet across the old wood floor as I reached for the knob. When I opened the door, the breath caught in my throat. Daniel. He stood there, hollow-eyed, shoulders sagging under a coat that looked a little too thin for the weather. His hair was messy, his face drawn, like life had scraped him raw. "Mom," he said softly, voice cracking like old wood. And just like that, the war in my chest started all over again. He stood there, hollow-eyed, his shoulders sagging like someone carrying the weight of a world he built, and then watched collapse. "Mom," he said softly, voice cracking on that single word. I gripped the doorframe, every instinct in me torn. One half wanted to slam the door, lock it, and never look back. The other half wanted to pull him in, hold him like when he was 5 and had nightmares about monsters. Only this time, the monster wasn't under his bed. It was the woman he married. "Daniel," my voice came out low, flat. "What do you want?" He flinched like I'd struck him. "Please, can I come in?" I stared at him for a long moment, then stepped aside without a word. He walked in slowly, looking around like the house was a stranger. Maybe it was. He hadn't been here since the day I signed my life away for his dream. The silence between us was thick as he sat at the kitchen table, his hands clasped tight like he was holding on for dear life. Finally, I spoke. "Say what you came to say." He swallowed hard. "We're losing the house." I nodded, keeping my face blank. "I know." His head jerked up. "You know?" "I read the filings," I said calmly. "Small town, Daniel. News travels." His cheeks flushed. "Mom, it's bad. Emily, she's falling apart. Her parents won't help. We've tried everything." "You mean GoFundMe?" I raised an eyebrow. "I saw that too." His jaw tightened, shame creeping up his neck. "People are cruel." I leaned forward, voice sharp. "Cruel? Daniel, you stood by while your wife dragged me through the mud in front of half this town, while she called me names, while she made me the punchline of her little Instagram circus." He opened his mouth, but I didn't let him speak. "And you?" My voice shook now, heat rising in my chest. "You like those posts. You told me to apologize. To her, after everything I gave you." His eyes dropped to the table. I was wrong. The words hung there like a thin thread, ready to snap. "You were wrong," I repeated slowly. "About what, Daniel? About betraying your own mother? About turning me into an ATM until I bled dry?" "Mom, please." His voice cracked. "I don't know what else to do. We're drowning. Emily's talking about leaving. I can't." My stomach twisted, but my voice stayed cold. "And what do you want from me? Money?" His silence was the answer. I laughed then, a low, bitter sound that didn't feel like me. "You're unbelievable." He lifted his head, desperation etched into every line of his face. "Mom, I'm begging you, just enough to stop the foreclosure. I'll pay you back, I swear." "Stop." I held up my hand, the weight of 5 years pressing behind it. "You swore that once already." His mouth opened, closed, like he had nothing left to fight with. I stood, walked to the counter, and poured myself a glass of water just to keep my hands busy. Inside, my heart was pounding so loud I could hear it. This was my son, my only son. The boy I raised, the boy I loved more than life. And here he was, broken, begging, because of choices he made, because of her. "Why are you really here, Daniel?" I asked quietly, turning to face him. "To save your marriage? Or to save your pride?" He stared at me, and for a second I saw it. The little boy who used to look at me like I hung the moon. The boy who used to say, "You're my hero, Mom." It almost broke me. Almost. But then my phone buzzed on the counter, and her name flashed across the screen. Emily. I let it ring twice before answering on speaker. "Elena?" Her voice snapped through the kitchen like a whip. "Put Daniel on. Now." I didn't move. "Why?" "Because this is between us," she snapped. "You've done enough damage." "No, Emily," I cut in, my voice low and steady. "What I've done is stop being your fool." There was a pause. Then she laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "You think you've won? You ruined Christmas, you humiliated us, and now what? You're proud of yourself?" I stared at Daniel as I spoke, my voice like ice. "No, Emily, I'm not proud. I'm done." Silence crackled on the line before she spat. "You'll regret this." I smiled even though she couldn't see it. "You already do." And I hung up. Daniel sat there staring at me like I'd just burned the last bridge between us. Maybe I had. He stood slowly, his chair scraping against the floor. "So that's it?" His voice was hollow. "You're just done with me?" The question sliced deeper than I expected. "I'll never be done loving you," I said softly. "But I'm done saving you." His eyes shimmered, but he didn't speak. He just nodded once, like a man accepting a sentence he knew he deserved. At the door, he hesitated, his back still to me. "Merry Christmas, Mom." The words were a whisper, a wound. When the door clicked shut behind him, I stood in the quiet, my breath shaking in the still air. For a moment, guilt clawed at my chest. Then I looked at the calendar on the wall, the red circle around December 24th still bleeding like fresh paint, and I remembered why I did all of this. Not for revenge, for freedom. I walked to the window and watched him disappear down the sidewalk, his shoulders hunched against the cold. I thought I'd feel triumphant. Instead, all I felt was tired. But under the exhaustion, something else pulsed. Peace. Because for the first time in years, my life was mine again,